Hi guys, it's Ruhi and Reggie, and today we
And Monica.
and Monica. Today we are so lucky. 2026 kicking off the year with my friend and business partner, Monica Timms. So excited to have you on the show.
Me too.
Well, thank you. I'm sure it was one of your more challenging guests just getting my tech right. So,
No worries. We're very excited to have you on and talk about what our goals are for 2026 and what we are going to do to drown out the noise and keep the perspective of business, spirituality, and everything else.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get into this as well. I know we've been gone for a while, but 2025 had a lot of unseen, foreseen twists and turns into it. And for me, really what I want to do is focus on the same thing that you're saying, and it's like drowning out the noise. It's so easy to get caught up in all types of different directions with focus, and I want 2026 to be the year of focus for me. So that's one of the things that I'm focusing on is focusing.
Awesome. What about you, Monica?
Yeah. I was just going to ask Reggie, though, do you have one tools in mind that you're going to be sharing with us today that you are planning to implement to help you with that?
Yeah, well, one of the things, and Ruhi and I had talked about this, and we want to actually focus on people who, tried to sell their house in the past and weren't successful doing it, and just coming with a fresh perspective for those. There's been a lot of people that wanted to sell, but because of the market being the way that it has been and the uncertainty, they weren't selling as quickly and they just may need a little bit of tweaking, and that's where our expertise can come in to help these homeowners. So
So,
that's one of the
focusing
things
on
that we're.
helping those people that kind of got off to a failed launch.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things, right? I mean, we've talked about clients who come in who are moving into assisted living, going through a divorce, going through different things in their lives, moving out of the country. So, there's so many things. And lately with AI, I feel like there's so many distractions. And we were actually in an office meeting yesterday and we were talking about all the different AI that's out there and people just getting on and playing with it. And then you've got social media, and then you've got the news, and you've got what's going on in the world and in the country. And it can't help but feel heavy and overwhelming, right? And so really being able to hone in on one, our business, which is real estate, helping people, in their life's journeys. But secondly, it's just helping ourselves and our family keep positive and really keeping our mindset clear as to what we want to achieve. And so that's kind of the focus of this year's podcast is really keeping it real within the world and spirituality and what that means to various people. It means something different to each of us, right?
Okay. Well, for me, to stay grounded, and this is a reminder more so to myself than anyone, is to be grateful for the things that I already have. It's so easy to, as my mom used to say, think of the grass is greener on the other side, where a lot of times most of everything we need, we already have. And if we just lean into what we already have and just be grateful for that, the other things will fall into place. So spiritually, that's one of the things that I want to lean into is being grateful for what I have.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. I mean, something I shared with you, and I don't know if I've shared it with Monica, but there's a hadith in what I follow, which is Islam, and it's about a bird leaving its nest every morning with the thought and the faith that they're going to be able to return back to their nest with food for their little birdlings. Is that what they're called, birdlings?
I think you just made that word
We
up.
call them ducklings, so I guess you could call them
Oh,
birdlings,
oh,
I think they're
well,
called
they're
chicks.
family, right? It's just like
Chicks, Rohi.
chicks. There you go.
baby chicks.
But that's what it is, right? Knowing that especially in our roles, right? We're salespeople. And sometimes, depending on what's happening in the world, we don't know how it's going to be. We need to create our own reign. and we need to be reaching out to our clients and our customers all the time and just checking in. So, but I resonate with that hadith, which is, it's a sonnet, which is knowing that you have that faith in your creator that you're going to be able to provide for whoever you provide for, and having that faith every single day rather than having the mindset that it's groundhog day and we're kind of repeating the same thing over and over again, but taking it with a positive spin.
Yeah, the whole glass half empty and half full thing, right? It's always, I mean, it's more about how you think about something than what it is, because what you think ends up being what it is, because you are what you think. That's from Earl Nightingale. Everybody probably has heard that one if you've listened to any of the old school Zig Ziglar types.
I love it. Okay, Monica, you're way too quiet. We need to hear from you.
Well, I mean, it's a very broad topic. So I would say since you and I branched out and founded Artistry in 2022, the whole premise was that it was becoming big box real estate or of a Walmart model. And we didn't want to get absorbed into that, whether we intentionally did make those choices to become part of the machine or it just came and ate us up. Um, and so it hasn't been, and I really appreciate you and appreciate the fact that we have been able to work together and just kind of face the storm in a little rowboat. And I think it's going to pay off. I definitely think it's paying off for our customers and our clients. I mean, for myself every day, just trying to get through a day, trying to not talk to a chat bot, trying to have a real interaction with a person when it comes to customer service. I don't care if it's banking or returning a package or whatever it is, it's maddening. And so much of our day, even with AI, is consumed by automation that frankly it could really be so much more efficient if we could just talk to a live person. So focusing on the fact that we
Right.
are under Remax now with the big corporate backing and part of Remax Accord is great because they are family owned and they have been in business for so long. And what they've done with their branches, I feel, is what we're doing now, aligning with them and being able to have that come down the pipeline and have the best of both worlds. But we can't lose focus on the fact that this is a people business and it is about our customers. And I see why people would just throw their hands up in the air because maybe they want that through our garage. Maybe they want to be closer to town. Maybe they want a bigger yard. But all the steps that it takes to get there seem so complicated and so overwhelming, and they can be because a lot of things have to come together. I mean, it's actually amazing that anything closes. And I give the escrow officers and the vendors and all of those people a lot of credit for making that happen. But our job is almost after to the orchestra to keep it all going. And it's beautiful when it becomes a symphony and people can trust us to do our job and help them get to where they go. But there has to be a lot of faith on their part by saying, this is my goal and show me the way,
Yeah.
not put up those roadblocks when we're trying to guide them, but we also have to respect, their limitations. So I think there's been a lot of dependency upon automation, which only gets you so far. And I think if somebody was really intent on achieving a goal, coming to us and saying, this is what I want for my family, this is where I want to be, this is my 5-year goal, my 10-year goal, my 20-year goal. I want to leave a legacy to my kids. I want to have investment properties instead of, trusting the stock market. Whatever it is that you want to do to help build wealth, we can do that for them and help them with that planning. But there has to be trust there, which is really hard today. I mean, there are very few companies that I can think of that I work with and interact with on a daily basis that I have trust and faith that I can even communicate with them. So That's where,
100%.
and so my goal,
So do you think that people really don't wanna do the AI thing? Do you think that is being forced on people, but the actual collective really doesn't want it?
no, I think it's growing pains. We could maybe get there, but
Mm,
somebody overseeing the AI, right? Like there has to be, just like it's no different really than big corporations always outsourcing um tasks. But there has to be someone managing that outsourced scenario. A person needs to be overseeing it to be able to, and not just filling in the gaps when there's a problem, but actually changing the system when there's a problem, because it's all about system. I mean, that's what the computers are for. That's what any automation is for, is to have an efficient system, something that's more efficient than we are. So as agents, we need to utilize it for sure, but we have to be that managing device that, fact checks and changes the system and gives the feedback, and not just, we would be no better than the computer if we just followed along.
I just want to address what you're saying, which is, what I've heard you say, and we've talked about this, is customer service and customer goals are so relevant to our industry. And with the growth of AI and the different AIs that are coming in, and everyone's trying to outdo each other and do something better, our clients really do put a lot of faith and trust in us. You know, plugging something into a Perplexity or a ChatGPT or any of these AI models, you've gotta go in with the understanding that you're not necessarily going to get all the, correct data. You do need to fact check. Whereas when you work with a professional and you pick up the phone and you call one of us and you say, "Hey, I'm not really sure what this means with with an escrow. Like, what is the escrow process? What does this mean?" You know, you don't necessarily get that exact answer, from your AI because they are programmed, a couple of them are programmed to whatever year they were programmed, and then things will continue to go
yeah.
in. And it's not a one size fits all, unfortunately. And that's where, that customer service and being able to deal with speaking to someone you trust, your trusted resources, much better, Monica. I can see you clearly now. Makes a big difference, right, Reggie?
Well,
Like, would you agree?
and I
Absolutely.
think anyone who's using AI right now will notice if you're disappointed in it, it's because you're asking the wrong questions. Garbage in, garbage out. So
Mhm. Throw
to
garbage out.
to think that you know the right questions to ask, if you don't know, you're going to get an answer that's relevant to the question that you put in, but it may not be very helpful to what goal you're trying to achieve. So I think that's where we come in, and it is important that people understand our value in terms of how many nuances there are throughout the whole process from beginning to end. And you could very easily achieve some goal that you end up determining wasn't what you wanted. I mean, you might be successful at something, it may not be what you had intended in the end. We're all learning this. I mean, I know what I
Well, it
know.
it creates a situation where we have to do a lot of due diligence.
Mhm.
Almost like we have to do more due diligence than we did in the past because
Mhm.
we know that there's a lot of AI slop out there. Even
Yeah.
if it's not the AI slop that you created, there's just AI slop that's out there. You might actually just Google something, and if you don't fact check it, it's something that somebody put out there that they just had AI generate, and they didn't fact check it. So now it's just like a
Perpetuating.
perpetuating, circumstance.
Isn't that the same as what's happening with the news? I mean, you really do need to fact check unless you believe everything you hear, right? You listen to one news station, they've got something to say. You listen to someone else, they've got something else to say, and then you go on social media and you hear something totally different. So, the moral of the story for 2026, in my opinion, is fact check. Go back and really drown out the noise and think, and do your
Critical
own fact
thinking.
checking. And
Critical
Yes,
thinking is
critical thinking for
important.
sure.
I mean, you can fact check all you want, but if you really stop and think about what makes sense and what doesn't and why.
Big picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
100%. So, predictions for 2026. Let's talk about where do we think the real estate market is headed in 2026? And you heard it on our podcast, on our first podcast by the end. Let's see how accurate.
Well, I think that if our, Fed chair changes and they put somebody else in, they're probably going to put someone in that's going to lower rates. And if the get lowered, I mean, it's going to cause inflation, but at least temporarily, we probably would get a bull market. But I mean, I don't know.
Where do you think rates will go, Reggie? Prediction if we change our Fed chair.
I think that they're going to go down. I mean, there's going to be a lot of pressure to try to make rates it's just a band-aid, right? It's just pushing, kicking the can down the road. But I know there's going to be pressure to do that, you know, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of money printing going on.
105%.
I don't really see anything going too much lower than 5%. What do you think, Monica?
Um, I think that there's enough pent up demand out there that people just have gotten used to anytime there's some prolonged situation in the market, people think it's the new normal. 3% is not normal. 4% is not
Never
normal.
was. Yeah.
Yeah, but people thought it was. And so I think that we haven't really seen what has happened in the past, in my opinion, which is seller's market, buyer's market, seller's market, buyer's market. And we're kind of teetering in between right now. The buyers can push back by just not buying, which is kind of what's happening. So I'm hoping
What's happening? Yeah.
to see more people come on board and say, hey, I want to write a contingent offer. Hey, I want to ask for a seller concession. You, seller, need to buy down my rate. I mean, I think I've told you in the past, Reggie, I've been successful with stubborn sellers by going in and showing them based on the offer what that buyer is having to pay monthly for their mortgage now. And they're shocked, especially if they've owned the house for decades. Like somebody's going to pay that much per month for my house. Well, yeah, that's what you're asking for. So, doing a buyer's net sheet for a seller is not a bad idea. I mean, you're not representing the buyer, but you're definitely educating your seller. And I think the theme of 2026 is education. I think people love AI because they think that it's going to educate them. But again, if they're not asking the right questions, they're going to get answers to things that are possibly not relevant. So it's not black and white, never has been. I don't think AI is good or bad. I think that there's a lot of chaos, and it's our job to maneuver people through the chaos and kind of help make sense
Hmm.
of things. And it's
Yeah.
important, especially in the Bay Area. I mean, we're talking about people's biggest assets. Usually their home is their biggest assets, their biggest liability and or their biggest asset, but they're important decisions. So,
Well, and Monica, to your point and to Reggie's point, Bay Area prices are very different than what you're seeing in the Midwest. And so that interest rate makes a huge difference, right? So if you bought at a 3% interest rate and your mortgage is, $5,000 a month, and now interest rates are 6% or just under 6%, you're doubling that. So you're looking at almost a $20,000 mortgage. And frankly speaking, not many people can afford that. And so, though interest rates are not normally 3 or 4%, prices have also gone up. And I know a lot of buyers, especially buyers I've been working with, have said to me, we're waiting for prices to come down. And
mhm.
the reality is that the cost of living in the Bay Area is high, but honestly, it is the cost of living. If you wanna live in a good climate, you wanna live in more of a, and we're not gonna get into politics, but more of a area of calm and, a lot of thought leaders, then California is the place to be. And you are going to pay a little bit more, but you are going to be living
Well,
your best life.
we have more opportunity, I think, in a lot of
Yeah.
ways than the rest of the country. So that's why people come here, and real estate's a big part of that. So we need to keep our values
Weather
up.
and opportunity.
Yeah, we need to keep our
100%.
values up. We need to support our schools. We need to go hyper local in terms of what we do to support our communities. And just really, it's easy to get caught up in the big scheme of things, but there's not a lot individually we can do unless you build some sort of a grassroots effort that grows and grows. And I think it can be very distracting and hard to do that today. So hopefully we can, you know, go that route.
Yeah, well, the moral of the story, in my opinion, for 2026 is, you know, interest rates are right now hovering in that 5 and 3 quarters, 5.5, and that's very good. When I started in the business with my dad back in Canada, interest rates were 13%, and they had come down from 15%, and it was really good. I mean, a 13% interest rate. People were still buying, people were still living, people were still doing things. We've been spoiled, and frankly speaking, no matter what, real estate is the best asset, in my opinion, to own because it's tangible, and with some of the different propositions that are out there, it's a great asset to leave for your children or use it as a resource for other things, right? Where you
There's a lot of leverage with it.
there's a lot of leverage,
Yeah, there's a lot of
100%.
ways you can leverage it.
So,
Sometimes
I love
I think sometimes that's the hardest thing too. Our buyers will come to us and say, you know, I want this move to be everything. I want it to be something that's going to have the most equity potential, the most, you know, benefit for my family. I mean, a house is so many things. It's your asset, it's also your home. I mean, sometimes the expectation of this house is that it's going to make me happy and it's going to do all these things, and it can, but you kind of have to tease through, and people don't always know what are the priorities because you are going to have to compromise on something. And sometimes people compromise on the wrong thing and then they're calling you and you're selling it again. So that never feels good. I want somebody to really be satisfied that in some it can't just be that the house changes. That's not going to happen. They have to change their mindset and understand what's most important to them. And we can't decide that for them. So sometimes just listening to what they're telling us when we know that house doesn't exist. I want a new house in Danville on a big lot. That's not going to happen. So it takes you can ask AI all you want, but it's just not going to happen. So, you know, but we can
and
maybe
not at the price point you want.
recommend a remodel, recommend vendors for rebuild, you know, something on a larger lot, an older home. And then there's knowing what's important with that. Or if you buy a vacant lot and you
Mhm.
decide you want to build, I mean, does it have utilities? Does it have hookups? All of these things are things you're not just going to get by typing something into ChatGPT.
Yeah, it takes local knowledge and expertise and connections,
Mm-hmm.
all those things.
That's I mean, yes, the paperwork is important. Of course, you do not want to get a contract wrong, but I think I take for granted that anyone in this business understands the contract, has read it. If they don't know, they have support from their broker to tell them how to do
Right,
a contract.
right.
But beyond that, it's really laying out a plan for people.
100%. And, something you just said, a couple of things, land and desirability. I don't know if you guys have faced this, but in the last, I'm going to say 3 to 4 months, I've had so many past clients call me and ask to find something with land. They're like, Rudy, we want property with land. We want land. We can feed an egg chicken and we can grow our own vegetables, and health and climate are extremely real. And right now there's a lot of people who are getting sick with pesticides and different things out there, and getting new different autoimmune disorders and those kinds of things. And so a lot of people are starting to think about cleaner eating, healthier eating, being able to sustain themselves on their land. And so, have you guys seen the same thing? Like, are you seeing that there's a huge demand?
Mhm. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
Well,
people are always asking
they're
about,
not making any
having
more land
space.
they're not making any more land around here. So
100%, 100%. Things that are extremely desirable right now in 2026, one is land. And the other thing I am also hearing single story. Um,
I was about to say the same thing. That's what I'm hearing a lot of. People want single stories. They're trying to get away from the multiple stories. Even, some of the younger buyers are wanting to get away from that.
yeah, it's
Because I think
no
more
fun.
people are now thinking long range about, well, you've got your primary bedroom upstairs. Well, what happens if you get older? Or even if you're not older, what happens if you get hurt or something like that? Now you
And
got to
it's
deal with
no
that.
fun going up and downstairs with kids.
yeah.
That too.
Yeah.
Or with laundry or with anything, right? Like I live in a single story and I love it. And, that was one of the things that when my kids were younger, they always used to say, "Can we buy a house with stairs?" All they wanted was stairs. I was like, "No, for what? Why do you want stairs?" But,
Think aesthetically, some people do like that. Like I know I've had this conversation with my wife, and even though we were talking about that, she says, "Well, even though functionally having one story is better," she says that she likes the difference that those differences in steps make in the house. It gives the house depth. So I think some people still like aesthetically how it feels.
especially if you entertain, because then, you're not worried about having people coming in and out and dealing with, a mess in the bedrooms or anything like that. So I think that's extremely important. And but as someone who owns a single story, when we have guests, I need the kids to clean the rooms just in case anyone heads down the wrong hallway.
Yeah, I think so many of us are experiencing, aging parents and or relatives. And for us, I mean, we're dealing with, a lot of our clientele are a little bit older. So we see this so frequently where, people, especially empty nesters, they want to get away from that second story.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I see Monica's on the move, which is great. She's still on.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pivot just a little bit, and I wanna, since we're coming to our 30-minute mark, I wanna just talk about one goal that our listeners can implement in 2026.
Okay, well, I'll let you start, Monica.
One goal that I think other people can do.
Yeah, maybe something you're doing, yourself, and I'll share mine that way because 'cause I'm setting you guys up, so
Okay.
I'll give you a proper goal. So one of my goals is, and this is from the book The Habit. I love this book, and it's a book that I am always, I always pull out in the new year. It's Charles Duhigg, actually, The Power of Habit: Why We Do What We Do in Life and Business,
I'm familiar with that book.
right? And I do love this book. And one of the short little intro stories and how it leads is the one character gives up smoking, and that one pivotal habit changes everything. And so for me, I tend to start my day off with, and I'm sure most people do, pulling out my phone and I'm kinda looking to see and catching myself up on what's happening, and so the one habit I plan on changing is starting my morning, my cup of coffee, with a short little read, whether it's something for work, something for spirituality, for gratitude, and just writing down 2 little lines of gratitude to start my day.
Okay. Well, I don't, I guess, I have the same goal. And I mentioned it earlier about gratitude is one of those things that I have to keep on reiterating in my mind. I didn't really have like an actionable action, but I guess writing it down probably would be the best thing. But just mentally all the time, staying grounded and being grateful. Not saying that you don't want to grow and get other things, but understanding that you have everything that you need and being grateful for that. And so that's one of the things that I think will help me be grounded because I've been a lot of very unsatisfied with life. And that's just because I'm more focusing on the future and what I don't have instead of being grounded in what I do.
So how are you gonna do that, Reggie? Are you gonna write it in a
Write it
gratitude?
down. Yeah,
Okay.
just like you mentioned, because and I'm glad that you did because I was like, well, she wants something actionable. But I mean, writing it down. I mean, not make it too complicated and keep it simple. What you write, that actually starts that manifestation process.
How about you, Monica?
Well, she's joining me here.
Okay, awesome. What's your actionable goal, Monica? What do you think? And how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna do that, Monica? So when we set our goals, we want them to be very actionable. And so continued learning, what are you gonna do to enforce?
Yes, implementing AI is what Monica had mentioned.
Well, just technology in general and putting myself out of my comfort zone. And
Awesome. So every day you're gonna set out half an hour of your day and put it in.
I'm thinking of it more in terms of per task, incorporating different tools.
Okay. Okay.
So it
So
could be multiple times per day. It's whatever I want or need to accomplish. I'm not going to set a time frame to manufacture learning. I actually want to make a point to implement it rather than just go off of my instinct.
okay. And, one of the things when I coach, I always mention that try to make your goal very smart, like a smart goal where it's specific, it's actionable. And so, I think that's cool. I mean, as long as kind of say that I'm going to incorporate it in everything I do every day. And I think that's specific enough. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to wrap up, Reggie?
Oh, well, I just want to wrap it up with just saying that I hope we have a blast of a 2026. Everything has actually kicked off really good for me. I've got, some stuff in the pipeline. I've been busy. So, it's a great problem to have. So let's just have a blast for 2026. That's all I've got.
What about you, Monica?
Yeah, I agree. So far, the phone's ringing, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the sun is out, it's rained, and with rain comes blessings, and I'm grateful for both of you, and I think
That's
2026 is gonna
same here.
awesome year, and, I'm hoping our audience and our listenership increases, and, we are grateful for all of you, and thanks for tuning in, and we hope to be a lot more regular this year with,
Well, absolutely.
every week.
All right.
Bye for now.
All right. Bye bye.